All right, welcome everybody. We're going to get started in just a few minutes. If you're watching the recording, feel free to fast forward a couple minutes. Otherwise, we'll get back to you in just a few. All right, folks, welcome. We'll get started in just a little bit here. All right, welcome to Stock Analysis Fridays. My name is Bennett McDowell with TradersCoach.com, and it's great to be back here with you all again. All right, just a few administrational items before we get started here. Let me just run through those really quick. And the first one, of course, is we want you to like, subscribe, and share to our platform here at the TradersCoach.com channel. You can set it up so you can be alerted when we begin particular analysis and so forth. And so definitely check us out and like, subscribe, and share. All right, we want to make sure you, of course, understand the risks involved in trading. There are risks involved in trading the financial markets, but like everything in life, there's no risk, there's no opportunity, right? So the two really go hand in hand. But it is possible to lose some or all of your money trading the financial market, so you need to know what you're doing. And we're going to be sharing a lot of ideas here, which are kind of fun, all right? You might pick up some great tips on getting maybe a particular stock that looks good for trading next week or even today. But definitely run those ideas past your financial advisor, money manager, or accountant, or even attorney to be sure they're suitable for you, because we don't know your personal situation, and of course they do. But just please realize that we deal in a realm of probabilities, not guarantees when we trade the markets, and so you need to realize that as well. All right, I've written several books that are available at Amazon, so if you're new here and want to learn more about TradersCoach.com or myself, hey, check out our books. We cover everything from risk control, which is really a vital part of trading the financial markets, all the way up to different forms of software, like what you're going to see me using today, which is the ART software, the OWL, PTF, TLM, and ERI indicators. All right, and we also have scanners and risk control and things of that nature. So I want to thank everybody for attending, and let's go ahead and get started. Go ahead and type your stock recommendations you want me to look up in caps, and I'll be glad to go ahead and do that. Okay, first one I do want to cover is IWM. This is one that came in via the email to us earlier. So IWM, all right, is one that has had a pretty good run-up like many of the stocks today, and it's pulling back. So here's what we suggest on this one. If you're in it right now, please have a stop in place, because we think it's coming down to around 197 to possibly 166 at some point. And you want to be aware that when it gets to that range, then we're going to take another look at it for a possible buy. So we do think it's coming down a little bit. We've got a red PTF here on the daily chart, which indicates more lows. It looks like we finished possibly the top of a wave 3 on the weekly chart. So we're heading down into this target range here, which is the wave 4 target range, and momentum is bearish as measured by this indicator here, and the PTF is bearish too. Now, if this is your first time here, you're going to notice maybe something a little different than on some of the charts you're looking at. First of all, we have 3 charts in front of you here. We have the 60-minute chart on the far left. This is our short-term outlook on the market we're analyzing. Then we have the daily chart in the middle. This is our intermediate outlook on the chart we're analyzing. And then, of course, we have the weekly chart over here, which is our long-term outlook on the chart we're analyzing. So all 3 charts, okay, cover the exact same stock that we're taking a look at. So we get a short-term, intermediate, and long-term right off the bat real quick. And it really helps our timing when we do that. So that's why you're going to see me referring to these different time frames when I look at markets. Then on the chart itself, we have indicators at the bottom down here. This is called the OWL, and these are all available at traderscoach.com, and that stands for the Optimum Wave Locator. PTF, Precision Trend Filter, and the TLM. TLM draws these trend lines on the chart. And also we have a Fear and Greed Index called the ERI. So these are what are sitting at the bottom of the chart. And this happens to be NinjaTrader, but our software works on TradeStation, eSignal, etc. All right, so that's kind of what you're looking at when you're looking at it. And then finally we have these pyramids that you'll see, which take into account trend trading, high probability price patterns. They take into account momentum as well. All right, so let's keep going here. All right, so let me see AXP. Let's take a look at that one. Give that a second to load here. All right, so here's AXP. Not too much different than the chart we just looked at. And I say that simply because we have a red PTF and a red OWL and even a red trend line developing on the daily chart. You can see on our 60-minute chart over here, this thing has been coming down. We're seeing a little bit of a rebound here. All right, so this is amplified when we look at the 60-minute over here. We have a red PTF over here on the weekly. So the deal with that is that we probably are going to head down at some point on this, and it's very similar to the overall market. It looks like we're going to head down sooner than later. So at this particular point, I'd say maybe one more move to the downside could be expected, and then maybe perhaps at that particular time we can look at it again for a rebound that we can actually trade to the long side. All right, so that's kind of where we're looking at that. All right, let me also take a look at the cryptos because people usually ask me about that. I'm going to take a look at an ETF called GBTC on that. And the cryptos are kind of interesting, all right? So we were in this earlier. We're out now. We're considering getting back in. And I'm going to open up here first the weekly chart so you can see this a little bit better. So this is the Bitcoin crypto called GBTC. And there are many different symbols. You can trade the actual Bitcoin symbol as well. And notice here that we've been pulling back ever since we came close to reaching a high, but it didn't happen. And in terms of a longer term position, because this is a weekly chart here, folks, we had a nice run up and then we had a move down. So we took profits on this run up and we did not trade it to the short side, but we're waiting to get back in again, okay, at some particular point. So at this point here, all right, you want to have your stop here, okay, and if you're a long-term trader, but you have a green PTF and a green OWL, so you have more highs coming. The PTF down here is a great little indicator because it has about a 75% accuracy rate, which is pretty incredible for the markets actually. So what it's saying eventually the markets are going to return and take this high out, and eventually even take this high out. So those are the two highest price bars in this particular segment where the PTF is green. So that kind of gives us a lot of confidence, all right, to go long when this thing finishes its pullback. It's not done yet. So we think there's going to be one more significant high on Bitcoin. And if these indicators change, of course, it won't be, but that's the way it looks exactly right now. Now, we have a move down here, pyramid trading point move down. Here's our target range for where we think this is coming. So I think probably, we're in the target range now, and that's between 38 and 25 bucks. We've got bearishness still in Bitcoin overall. So it hasn't turned around yet. You can see on the 60-minute chart, bearish momentum is designated by the owl, and a bearish PTF, meaning more short-term lows are coming. And we also have a bearish trend line and a bearish pyramid. So, you know, that's 4 strikes against it right there for going long. So I would wait on this if you're thinking about going long. If you're long already and you didn't get out on that trend to the move to the upside, then have your stop right around there for the weekly chart, and that should be okay. All right, so that's Bitcoin. Everybody loves Bitcoin today. All right, let's see what else we got here. Yes, John, I'll take a look at MOS. MOS. Give that a second to thoroughly load across all the charts. Okay, so let's take a look at this. I'm going to open up the weekly chart first, and let's go back in time a little bit. So MOS, you know, has been coming down. I mean, you can see it one time back in 2007. Okay, it reached a high of about $160, and since then it's never seen that high again. It came down, almost had a double bottom, came back up, and now it's drifted back down and even made a new low down here. Interesting. But since then, and that was back in 2020, so since then it's been going to the upside, and let's just take a look and see that owl is pretty strong right there, okay? So you've got a pretty significant owl, but you also have bearish divergence building in the owl. Do you see that with inside the momentum? So bearish divergence means that you look at one of the highs, and then when it makes another high, you look at the momentum down here to see if the momentum increased along with the higher prices. And in this case it didn't, because the momentum, yes, it increased, but it didn't go above the previous hump or high on the previous owl. So that's bearish divergence. So that's kind of a warning. It's not necessarily a meaning for action, but it is a warning here that the trend is kind of getting mature. Now, another thing that's interesting here is we had a green PTF, and now that's turned yellow. So that means it did what it was supposed to do. It made a higher high, but the momentum was not strong enough to keep that green. So again, another warning or shot across the bow that this trend is kind of getting a little bit on the mature and unstable side for a long trade. All right, the other thing too is we had a couple trend lines drawn in here by the trend line master. The long-term trend line is still holding, but notice we have some shorter trend lines here that have been broken. So kind of interesting here, okay? We had a major support in the weekly here that has not been penetrated, so we kind of want to keep an eye on that. Let's take a look at the short-term charts and see if that helps us at all. So let's open up this daily chart, and here you can see you're above the long-term trend line here as well. The pyramids pick this move to the downside up. We still have negative owl here, so negative momentum is still technically in this market. So that means not quite time to buy yet. In terms of the short-term scenario, let's open that 60-minute chart up, and that's starting to turn bullish, which is great. All right, so we just want that daily chart to move over to a bullish momentum and wait for a bullish pyramid, and then it may make one more high. So you want to be a little careful here. The reason why you don't want to just jump in here is because if this thing decides to go into a major correction, it's probably going to go down to around $25. All right. If it makes one more high, then it could go to 45 or 50. So we want to wait until the lower time frames indicate what it's going to do. All right. Hopefully that'll help. All right. Let's move along here. See what else we got here. All right. So I did an AXP. And I did MOS, and the next one is HD. Let's do HD here, and this is for Marcelo. All right, HD, good old Home Depot. All right, looks like everybody's been shopping, right? All right, so let's move and take a look at this bad boy. All right, certainly this is the weekly chart. So we've been certainly running up on this. We've made new highs recently, like this week. All right, on Home Depot. So what do you do with this? Well, if you're long, you kind of stay long, all right? There's no reason to jump out of this chart. We've got the strongest momentum that we have seen in this in years. Look at this, all right? So you don't have bearish divergence here. This is bullish, all right? So that's a good sign. You also have a bullish PTF, so more highs are coming, all right? And we have a green trend line master. So, all right, so good. We had a greed bar here because prices were getting fairly far away from the trend line, and that was designated here. You could see that here. But the greed bar was taken out, so the greed continues. All right. In terms of a stop, you can put it here. You want to give this thing will retrace a little bit, but it should make another high. Let's take a look at the short-term time frame. Now, notice before I do that, notice I have a fib retracement level penciled in here. So when this ends, when this trend to the upside ends, that'll be, in terms of an Elliott wave, a 3. Then we're going to have a wave 4, and if it ended today, it would be down in this level here. So you got to be careful here to lock in your profits if this thing starts to sell off, because if it sells off in a major way, it's going down to about 274 to 181 at this particular point. Now, a couple things, all right? I'm not saying it's going to sell off today, all right? But you have to be prepared because it's a pretty mature trend, right? So let's take a look at the daily chart and see what that looks like. And as you can see, this is fairly mature here. We have a lot of short-term trend lines here, but we also have a pyramid trading point to lock in your profits with a stop right below there. All right, so here's the way I would play this, all right? Depending on when you got in. If you got in early, hey, you're sitting here really pretty, okay? I'd put a stop for either all or a majority of your shares right there. All right, because we no longer have a green PTF. This is dwindling a little bit. This is bearish divergence building inside this particular move that we've experienced since most of this year. All right, so you got to be careful here. All right, let's go to the 60-minute chart. Oh boy, that's pretty bullish and still bullish. So looks like more highs here. So if you put that stop at the pyramid, okay, I think that may be pretty good. Whoops, I spoke too soon. I thought that was green. Nope, it is yellow. So you definitely want to have that stop where it is. And if it makes another high, it'll keep you in it. But if it breaks down, you're going to want to leave. And look at this, bearish divergence, red owl here. So things have changed and a bearish pyramid up here. So what I would do is you could scale out now a little bit and then put the rest of your stop here, okay? And let me just get you a level for that. So that level, if we bring the data window over here, has a low of about 422, so go 400.21, one tick under. All right, so that's Home Depot. Good one to look at. All right, let's keep moving on. I did GBTC, Zeke. Let me do that one real quick for you. And what we're looking at on GBTC is probably one more high still, but we're coming down. So if you're not in it, don't go in it. If you're in it, we want your stop to be right here at this pyramid, okay, and that's 32.09 for the long-term trade. So this is the weekly chart over here. We think we're going into this target zone. We came really close, all right, but we didn't quite hit it, and we still have a green PTF. The problem is the shorter-term charts are all bearish right now. So you do not want to go long. If you were trading a daily chart, you would have been out a long time ago, okay, right in this area here. So that's kind of where we're at now. So one more high, but not yet. All right, looks like it's coming down right now, and we're going to have to see where it finds its final resting place. If these indicators turn bearish here, then all bets are off, but right now they're not. So you kind of want to stay nimble here. All right, so let's keep going here. My picture is blocking the top of the chart. There's nothing up there, Thumper. Okay, that's just basically an area you don't need to be concerned about. So I just put it up there anyway. All right, so RNG. Let's take a look at that. All right, so RNG. Interesting. Let's take a look at the weekly chart first. Open that baby up. Oh, look at that. Isn't that nice? All right, so this is a Elliott wave 3. You cannot distinguish it. That's the most powerful wave of all the Elliott waves. And now we're in an Elliott wave 4. So let's check and make sure. Let's check those fib retracements. and kind of get an idea of where we're at here. So we draw those up. Okay, so we're in the target range for an Elliott wave 4, which is right in between here. So even though this thing has come from 450 down to 185, that's not unusual for an Elliott wave 4. And if you look at the owl, which helps us count the Elliott waves too, that's a 3. And you have to have a red owl for a 4. So you've got that requirement met. You don't have any, this is neutral, so it's not red or green. So I would expect this to end at any time. All right, we got to make sure this thing gets green here first before we can say it's ended. But you're definitely in the target range at this point. Now, 15% of the time, sometimes they get a little deeper, but they never go into the wave 1 area. 70% of the time they end here. 15% of the time they're shallow and fail and end here. So that's kind of the way we work it. All right, so currently in a correction. Let's take a look at the daily chart on this. All right, notice here you can see nothing but bearishness in terms of the owl and the pyramid and price, okay? So this is neutral, no longer red, so we are getting close to a bottom. That's what that's saying. So I don't think I would go into this yet. Let's wait for this to turn green, at least on the daily, and I'd wait for a bullish pyramid, okay, to form before going long on this. And finally, we want to make sure their momentum is turned in the 60-minute, and as you can see, all the indicators that are important down here are bearish. Okay, there's no active pyramids because all the prices went below the base legs. So you don't want to go long on this, and you really don't want to go short because at this particular point you're already in the target range. All right, that was a good one to look at, RGNG. Okay, so Z, there we are. Okay, so short's okay because you got one more low according to the 60-minute, but be careful here. And if you're new just showing up here, don't take the short. Okay, so CVS, let's take a look at CVS for a long possibility here. And this one again is for Zeke. All right, so CVS, we'll open up that weekly chart. I think you guys are kind of getting the hang of how I do the analysis here. All right, very interesting. So again, very easy to spot those wave 3s, isn't it? Boom. All right, also has the highest owl at the time. Then we had 4, and now we're coming out on 5. Okay, so there we are now. So let's take a look and see what we got cooking in terms of retracement levels here. Just going to generically draw one in here. So look at it. It ended perfectly at the wave 4 target, right? Down here. So 3, 4. So we're on our way up at this time. So what's the target? Let's take a look and see. So let's remove those lines here. And let's see how far this one may go. So we use fib extensions. And we'll bracket those in there and there. And let me just redraw that, make sure I got the right low here. There we go. So Zeke, I'm looking at around 111 to a 150. So we're at 98 now, so you don't have much more to go on this. So if you're long on this one, I'd put my stop at this pyramid here, okay, which would be right around 83.56. I would not take this trade necessarily if you're not in it because it's so extended already and so close to the target range, you're not going to have a very good risk to reward. Now notice here on the daily chart we had this green PTF the entire time, and guess what? We kept making highs. Now it's turned yellow. I don't know if you can see that at home, but there's a little sliver of yellow here. All right, so it's getting mature, but the 60-minute chart has green and green, so short term we're still going higher. All right, but you have to be careful here because we're getting so close to that target range. So that's CVS. All right, AV, boy, I love this. AVGO. Let's take a look at that one. All right, and on this one here, let's first open up that weekly chart. Beautiful. Look at that. Wave 3. This almost looks like the Dow to some degree because there's your COVID here. So this is 3. Bearish divergence. Active pyramid. Stop here for long positions. No reason to panic out of this yet. We have a green PTF and a green owl. All right. So this pyramid gives this a lot of movement for volatility while you're waiting for it to continue to higher highs. So this is going to make another high. Let's take a look at the short-term chart. All right, so short-term chart says, okay, got to be careful here because maybe this will go into a major wave 4 before it makes another high. So we got to be a little careful here. It's too late, I think, to get in now, but it looks short-term like we're going to make another high, but I think probably we'll fill this gap. Stocks usually do that, and we're starting to see bearish diversion, so I imagine it's going to pull back. Notice we have a greed bar here. So if you're long here still, I would put a stop under here for a scale out. The scale out means not sell all your positions, but maybe a little bit. All right? So that's AVGO. All right, let's take a look at gold. Now, gold is one that, I'm dying to get in, and, or at least tell other people to get in. If you're in already, you got your stop set. But it looks like it's going to make another high. But let's take a look at this weekly chart, because this is kind of interesting. This is a 3, this is a 4. I did the fib measurements already a while back. And here is your target zone for wave 5. Now we hit it already. We've already been in it. And then we pulled back. This is where the PTF earns its value, because it's still bullish. So if you were in this and you said, gee, should I take my profits here? The answer would be no, because the PTF is still green, indicating more highs. Now the PTF's not going to tell you you're going to have a pullback. All right, it doesn't tell you how long it's going to take to get back up there, but it's just telling you the trend's not quite over. All right, so your current stop would be in this pyramid here to protect you. But in this particular case, right now, if you're long, you probably want to hold long. So why wouldn't I want to go into it again right now? It's because it's still a little wishy-washy, and according to the PTF here, all right, we're going to come down some more. All right, so we're going to go below 160, it looks like. So we kind of got to be a little careful here, right? So this stop, is in the 150s, and this low is saying possibly low around 160. So in this case here, don't go long until these lower time frames turn bullish. So, gold is a great place that people go out of equities in times of people, feel that, there's problems in the markets, and they leave equities and they go into something like gold, silver, or even today, in some cases, Bitcoin. But yeah, I don't see this happening right away, okay, in terms of I don't think you want to go there yet. But come back every week and we're going to take a look at that, all right? Silver is the next one I want to look at. Now, if you're listening to a lot of people predicting a bad future for, the economy and so forth, they're saying buy silver. Again, same type of thing, all right? Yes, we think silver will eventually go higher. Why do we say that? Well, if we look at the weekly chart, all right, we had a nice move up here, nice retracement, probably a wave 2. We're getting ready to go into a wave 3. Why isn't this a wave 4? Because the retracement was too deep, almost formed a double bottom. So this would be a 1, this would be a 2. So we're in the process of possibly taking off in silver. However, we're also in a pullback. So everything comes down to timing, right? So if we go to the daily chart, you can see an active pyramid, okay, still in place. You do have just a yellow PTF now, so that just turned yellow this week. And you still have bearish momentum, and this chart is still bearish on the 60 minutes. So I think you can get in at a better price if you just wait a little longer, okay? Let's take a look at that one for sure next week. All right, let's see. Okay, if a stock is an okay but not great long due to being extended, is it a good dividend player like every dividend entry is better? I would use the charts for that, okay? If the charts indicate the risk-reward is not there, don't take it. So what's the risk-reward? Well, the risk-reward is the distance between where current prices are and where they could go based on where you can put your stop. All right, so if your stop has a further distance than the distance to the profit, then you got a problem. Okay, that's what I mean by risk to reward. And if you had an established uptrend, your stop may be, there may be no really good place to put your stop, so you got to kind of keep it far away from the volatility, okay, that type of thing. All right, we'll try moving it to the left. Is that better? See, when I move it to the left, it covers the minutes on the 60-minute chart. So that's kind of one of those things. We can remove it if we want as well. Okay, maybe we'll just remove it. Okay, so we can do that. All right. So, okay, yeah, that's better. Okay. All right. So let's see what else we got. All right. Yep, we'll do. Okay. All right. ETH. Now that is a crypto run by Grayscale, and it's the Ethereum. Say that 5 times. Ethereum, right? All right. So let's take a look and see what's cooking on this. All right. Well, as you can see, kind of a little difficult on this one, but here, let's see if the owl can help us. So, in terms of momentum and the pyramids, this is an active bullish trade right now. But also notice, you would have gotten in a lot earlier, okay, down in here. So this stop here would be a profitable trade if you're stopped out, okay? You no longer have this as green. So we're seeing a little bit of softening, aren't we, in the cryptos? No question about it. Let's take a look at the daily chart. So if you were using the daily chart for your trades, you'd be out because the pyramid was penetrated. And if you look at the 60-minute chart, that's pretty bearish. Though you do have bullish divergence building if this goes lower here. Okay, so we'll see what happens with that. You don't have any red PTFs nor any green ones. They're all yellow. So it's pretty neutral out there. All right, so I probably would not do much with this right now. Okay, that one does not do anything for me, and I think if anything, it's going to pull back probably a little bit more. All right, let's see what we got cooking here. All right, I think TQQ. Let's do that one. Frank, how are you? TQQQ. All right, so we want to build this channel, all right, folks? So tell everybody that you know to come if they are interested in stocks, so we can do a second analysis for them. And one of the things I'm trying to do with this particular channel is not only make this a place where you can come in for a second opinion, but also make it a situation where maybe, by having a lot of people here, we'll come across a stock that somebody shares with us that turns out to be a great opportunity so that we all can benefit. And if we can do that, then it almost becomes like a stock picking service. Okay, so don't forget that. All right, so let's take a look at the QQQ, the TQQQ. All right, so Tech NASDAQ type of situation here. All right, still moving up. Still a powerful wave 3. Look at that. So what are you going to say about this? All right, it's still moving up. However, we've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pyramids in a row. Now, our rule base with the pyramids is when you get past 3, all right, you don't add into the trend anymore. When you get past 4, all right, you start looking for trend exhaustion and start trailing those stops up, okay? So you got to be careful here, all right? So I wouldn't go into it again if you get another signal. We got out here, okay? You would have been out here on this. But you're getting ready for a correction here at this point. But so far, no bearish divergence. Let's take a look at the lower time frames. All right. If you're still long, I think you're probably in pretty good shape here. You've got a 60-minute chart that's still bullish. You do have a red PTF on the actual daily chart. So that's kind of a little bit of a contradiction there, because the 60-minute says it's going to make another high. So it may, but it also may come down, so that's a possibility where that PTF could be wrong on the 60-minute chart. Time will tell. So kind of a little extended to jump into this, I think. All right, I kind of would hold back on it. All right, let's keep going. Lower left. Do you want me to try the lower left? I don't know if you really will make any difference. Maybe that'll be better. I don't know. Is that okay or not? It doesn't matter to me one way or another. The only thing that we've realized is that people that have counseled us on how to do these YouTube things say, you get more participants if you have your face somewhere on the screen someplace. That's basically why we do that. So if that's okay, I'll leave it there to meet the requirements of trying to boost our popularity. Other than that, I can remove it. So to me, it makes really no difference at all. You guys let me know what works best. All right, so let's see how we go here. Lower left is great. Okay, good. All right, good to know. All right, so, as we do more and more of these, we get better and better at them, I hope. So let's see if we got, I think I got everything. All right, so that pretty much, I think, takes it off as best. Okay, so it's I can turn it off as well. All right, so that kind of we're kind of done, so I'll just leave it there for right now. So that kind of does it for today. All right, we're here for about a half an hour. I like to make them about a half an hour. I think I got through everybody's list here. Okay, all right, so there you have it. Frank, in terms of the TQQ going short, all right, I wouldn't do it because you have a green PTF, okay, over here. So this chart's got to turn bearish before I'd even consider it, all right? And I don't think I would go short against this powerful of a owl on the weekly chart right now. So I'd kind of wait on this, all right? Let's take a look at it. Come back next week and we'll take another look at it. Kind of like a fine wine, it's kind of got to get just to the right temperature and date before we can have it, so to speak. All right, so there we are. All right, let's see. Zeke, you are welcome. Great to be here. All right, so that's it. We'll get this as a recording as well. On the site, we're putting all these recordings, I think, under the live playlist area. So you can go back and review those. So if we did a stock for you and you kind of want to see what I said again about that, it will be available. It takes YouTube a couple hours, I guess, to get it kind of up there, but there it is. All right, so listen, we're going to see you back here next week. All right, it's great to have you here. And let me hit my other button here that puts up the still photo. That's kind of not the one I wanted, but there you have it anyway. So we want you to like, subscribe, or share, all right, and come back and see us next week, okay? All right, everybody, have a great one, okay? Take care. Thanks for being here.